Friends, welcome to this session. Today in this session we are going to discuss regarding the formwork or shuttering in construction works. Friends, as you know that when you are placing the concrete in the various elements like slabs, columns, beams or other elements as well, so it will require this former or shuttering. So shape of that particular component can be maintained, and after the curing period the former can be removed safely. Now, types of formwork or shuttering, the in the concrete construction and in its properties. Formwork or shuttering in a concrete construction is used as a mold for structure in which fresh concrete is poured only to harden subsequently. Types of concrete formwork construction depends on formwork material and type of structural element. Formers can also be named based on the type of structural member. Construction such as slab formwork for use in slab, beam formwork, column formwork for use in the beams and columns respectively. The construction of formwork takes time and involves expenditure up to 20 to 25% of the cost of the structure or even more. Design of these temporary structures are made to economic expenditure. The operation of removing formwork is known as a stripping. So when you are removing the formwork, it is that process is called as a stripping. Now stripped formwork can be reused. Reusable forms are known as panel forms, and non-reusables are called as a stationary forms. Timber is the most common material used as a formwork. The disadvantage of timber formwork is that it will warp, swell, and shrink. Application of water, uh, impermeable cost to the surface of wood mitigates these defects. A good formwork should satisfy following requirements. It should be strong enough to withstand all types of dead and live loads. It should be rigidly constructed and efficiently propped and braced both horizontally and vertically so as to retain its shape. The joints in the former should be tight against leakage of cement grout. Construction of formwork should permit removal of various parts in desired sequences without damage to concrete. The material of formwork should be cheap, easily available, and should be suitable for reuse. The formwork should be set accurately to desired line and level, should have plain surface. It should be as light as possible. The material of former should not warp or get distorted when exposed to the elements. It should rest on firm base. So these are the various requirements of a good former. Now, what are the various types of former or shuttering for the concrete construction? First one is the timber formwork. Timber for formwork should satisfy the following requirements. It should be well seasoned, light in weight, easily workable with nails without splitting, free from loose knots. Timber used in for shuttering for exposed concrete work should have smooth and even surface on all faces which come in contact with concrete. Normal sizes of members for timber formwork are sheeting for slabs, beams, columns, sides, and beam bottoms are 25 mm to 40 mm thick. Joints and ledges 50 into 70 mm to 50 into 150 mm. Posts, that is the vertical poles are there, 75 into 100 mm to 100 into 100 mm. So these are the various normal sizes which are used at the construction site. Then plywood former, resin bonded plywood sheets are attached to timber frames to make up panels of required sizes. The cost of plywood former compares favorably with that of timber shuttering, and it may even prove cheaper in certain cases in view of following considerations. It is possible to have smooth finish in which case on cost in surface finishing is there. By use of large size panels, it is possible to effect saving in labor cost of fixing and dismantling. Number of reuses are more as compared with timber shuttering. For estimation purpose, number of reuses can be taken as a 20 to 25. So this is a major benefit of the plywood former. Then steel former. This consists of panels fabricated out of thin steel plates, stiffened along the edges by small steel angles. The panel joints can be held together through the use of suitable clamps and bolts and nuts. The panels can be fabricated in large number of in any desired modular shape and size. Steel forms are largely used in large projects or in situation where large number of reuses of shuttering is possible. This type of shuttering is considered most suitable for circular or curved structures. Steel forms compared with the timber formwork. So, what are the advantages of a steel formwork over a timber formwork? Steel forms are stronger, durable, and have a longer life than timber formwork, and their reuses are more in number. Steel forms can be installed and dismantled with greater ease and speed. The quantity of exposed concrete surface by using steel forms is good, and such surface need no further treatment. Steel formwork does not absorb moisture from concrete. Steel formwork does not shrink or warp. Construction of concrete formwork it is used mainly in the concrete formwork. So normally involves the following operations in the this shuttering processes: propping and centering, shuttering, provision of camber, that is slope required for that, cleaning and surface treatment. Okay, and thereafter it will become ready for the placing the concrete. And a very important thing in the shuttering or the former, that order and method of removing the former. So shuttering, forming the vertical faces of walls, beams and column side should be removed first, as they bear no load but only retain the concrete. Shuttering, forming soffit of slab should be removed next. Shuttering forming soffit of beams, girders or heavily loaded shuttering should be removed in the ends end. Then rapid hardening cement, warm weather or light loading conditions allow early removal of former. The former should under no circumstances be allowed to be removed until all concrete reaches strength of at least twice the stresses to which concrete may be subjected at the time of removal of formwork. All formwork should be eased gradually and carefully in order to prevent the load being suddenly transferred to the concrete. Okay, you can see these various figures where the this formwork is used. You can see this is the slab to be placed earlier. Now it is in the cross section. It is shown there. So what are the various parts you can see? So these are the struts. These vertical shows are there or posts are there. Then these are struts are there. Okay, and these planks are there placed properly so that those can be removed easily from the structure. Then you can see a top view of a former for a column. Okay, this is the required size of that. You can see these are the bolted. The patterns are used there. So for stripping of the formwork, it will become easy by only removing these uh, bolts. Yes, the same thing is shown in the isometric view here for the column. So you can see uh, these boardings are there, then battens are used, okay, to strengthen that. Okay, so wedges can be used in this. This particular figure shows the formwork which is used for a stair. You can see these particular wooden planks. So if you are placing the concrete, it is forming in the terms of the steps. Now, what is the period of a removal of a former? You can see walls, columns, and vertical sides of a beam. You can remove the formwork in 1 to 2 days. This is very important to remember. Slabs, uh, by keeping the prop under their vertical post, you can remove 3 days. Then beam soffits, props left under in 7 days. Removal of props to slabs. For slabs spanning up to 4.5 meter, you can remove after 7 days. For slabs spanning over 4.5 meter, 14 days. Removal of props to beams and arches spanning up to 6 meter, 14 days. Spanning over 6 meter, 21 days. Okay, so these are the various pictures you can see where types of this former can be observed. You can see that how the timber is used here for a former purpose. So here you can see you can place the concrete. Okay, so these are the various planks which are used. These are the strengthening studs are there. Also you can see here the also these planks are placed here to avoid the shape change of that. Okay, so you can see everywhere you can find the timber there in this. Then steel. Okay, you can see this steel former which is used in terms of the steel plates and the steel posts are there and braces are there. And for columns, you can see this is a view of a formwork which is used for a column. So sometimes a typical round columns or a circular columns, a typical formwork is also present there. Okay, so this particular figure shows formwork which is used for the slabs. This vertical, okay, these parts are called as a props or post you can see. So this can be of a timber or can be of a steel. In the timber, you have to adjust the height of the that particular prop by using the various wedges. And in the steel, this can be the facilities available to change the length of this post by using the threads there. So nowadays, steel formwork it is more popular in the construction industry. So underneath you can see the steel uh, plates are there. Okay, again here this picture shows how a former is used for the stairs. Okay, so friends, that's all from today's session. So the former is very important aspect of a construction process. So here we have to remember what type of formwork it is necessary to use. Then if you are using the formwork, then how it can be properly strengthened to avoid any accident during the construction phase. And also we'll have to remember stripping time as well to see that it should be safely removed. So again, special care we'll have to take when you are using the former for the cantilever uh, portions, because those will require the proper attention when you are removing the formwork. And the formwork of a cantilever portion that should not be removed unless and until a counterbalancing masonry is constructed. So all these things are there. So thank you very much for joining this session. Okay, we'll meet you in the next session.